Board meeting, December 11th, 2023. Can I get a roll call?
Yep. Mr. Sterling,
Here.
Mr. Thompson,
Here.
Mr. McKnight,
Present.
Ms. Carlson,
Here.
Mr. Smith,
Here.
Ms. Hastings here, Ms. Meeks is absent.
Chris Arduino, Recording Secretary.
Troy Yarborough, Superintendent.
Shelley Wagner, Human Resources.
Schiller, Curriculum and Instruction.
Josh Rand, Business and Operations.
Jason Bloom, Communications, Community Relations.
All right, thank you. I'll turn it over to you.
All right. Good evening, everyone. So tonight we have Marquette Elementary joining us for the Pledge of Allegiance. And so give us a second to get everybody in.
Sorry, I'm used to committees that we do it ourselves, so I'm just like, why isn't anybody saying anything?
I'm sorry, no.
And he'll point it out.
Okay.
Let us know when you're ready, Brett.
Yeah, if parents need to know. Yeah, go for it.
You guys will keep coming this way.
Keep coming all the way around here.
Yeah, come on.
Spot that will.
There's plenty of room back here too.
We'll just hang out right here.
I'm really excited to introduce Peyton and Ella, Sammy, Elizabeth, Olivia, Gabby, and Ella. These students, we had 16 students that have been at school since day one until today. They have not been late, and they've been there every day. And these 7 were able to come here and be with you tonight to do the pledge. So,
That is all.
if you would all please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We are going to do our Marquette motto, so you're going to repeat after me. I will be respectful, responsible, and safe.
Responsible, and safe.
I can make the world a better place.
The world a better place.
I am proud to be a mini Husky.
I am proud to be a mini husky.
I will do a photo. Nice job.
Oh, yes.
Kurt, we're quite lucky.
Yeah, I know. I was thinking the same thing. Just tall enough.
We all have our established positions.
There's a tower over there.
I'll get one in.
All right. Give me 1 second. 1, 2. Awesome.
Good job. Good job.
Thank you.
They're gonna go that way. You go that way.
I would like to appoint, I would like to appoint Megan Hastings, Secretary Pro Tem. Can I get a vote?
Motion.
Second.
Mr. Thompson,
Aye.
Mr. McKnight,
Aye.
Ms. Carlson,
Aye.
Mr. Smith,
Yep.
Ms. Hastings, aye, and Mr. Sterling.
All right. All right, Dr. Gerber.
All right, thank you, sir. Our mission of the Harlem Consolidated School District as a vital part of the community is to help diverse learners realize their limited potential by providing an educational program dedicated to academic excellence and the development of strong character in a safe and respectful learning environment.
Yeah, we missed the approval agenda.
Oh, yeah,
So we go back.
sorry, we had the Secretary Pro Tem write a book. Can I get a motion and a second?
Motion.
Second. Mr. McKnight?
Is there anything,
Oh, sorry.
is anything being modified?
At this point.
Don't think so.
Okay.
What you added.
I don't think oh, so that agenda item was already on there.
Okay, all right.
And the attachments are there
Yep,
too,
we're good. Yep.
Mr. McKnight?
Aye.
Ms. Carlson?
Aye.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Hastings? Aye. Mr. Sterling?
Aye.
Mr. Thompson?
Yes.
And ditto what I said.
One more time.
All right, can I get a motion and a second to approve the regular and closed minutes of November 13th, 2023?
Motion.
Second.
Ms. Carlson?
Aye.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Hastings? Aye. Mr. Sterling?
Aye.
Mr. Thompson?
Aye.
Mr. McKnight?
Aye.
Can I get a motion and a second to approve regular and closed minutes of special meeting of November 20th, 2023?
Motion.
Second?
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Hastings? Aye. Mr. Sterling?
Aye.
Mr. Thompson?
Aye.
Mr. McKnight?
Aye.
Ms. Carlson?
Aye.
And with that, I turn it back over to Jason Moore.
Well, good evening again. It is my privilege and honor tonight to introduce you to one of our high school students, Ms. Kennedy Myers. As I was reflecting on preparing to introduce her tonight, it made me reflect back on my time in high school, and in no way did I ever think that I would ever want to try to accomplish the things that this person is accomplishing in her short time in high school. And so we're super excited to introduce a student that recently released her second published book, which you can find on Barnes & Noble, FYI. So if you Google her, you will see where you can buy her books. And so, again, this is Ms. Kennedy Myers. She is a sophomore at Harlem High School. And so we're going to do a little kind of Q&A type thing here, so you get a chance to hear a little bit about her story and what led her to do what she's done so thus far. So tell us a little bit about the two books that you've released.
So the first one I wrote in my 8th grade year, and it was just kind of tested out. I've always written stories when I was younger, and they never really went anywhere, and I was like, I want to get somewhere with this. And I wrote a short book, and then I was like, I wonder how I can get this published. I watched a bunch of YouTube videos, and I figured out that I could do it through this place called Lulu Publishing, and it was a pretty easy process, and I did that. And then the second time around, I wrote this my freshman year, the spring of my freshman year, and I published it through Amazon.
Well, pretty impressive. So tell us a little bit about the two stories. Tell us what you wrote about.
Okay, so the first one is called Just a Wish, and it's about this middle school girl. It's her first year going into middle school, and like she doesn't get a lot of attention at home. Her parents are workaholics, and she finds herself kind of lost, wishing that she had a better relationship with her family. And then she meets this new kid and his family, and their families get really close until there's a fight between their parents, and they're forbidden from seeing each other. But then a big event happens, and she has to work her way through this new grief and everything. And so then the second one is called Let's Walk Instead, and it's about a girl. So before the book happens, she was in a crash with her entire team, and she's the only survivor. So she moves to a new school, finds a couple new friends, and tries to get through her grief. And it's a really difficult and challenging time. But eventually it seems like she's making her way through everything, and things are starting to look up. But after too many confessions are made, she doesn't know who to trust anymore, and everything seems to go back to the dark.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Say now. So. Pretty impressive, and obviously you've got a creative mind and a gift for writing. So what's next? Do you have a third one in line?
Yes.
You do? Are you allowed to say anything yet? Or you just have to wait.
You might have to wait.
Okay. So tell me, for our board, for myself specifically, like, how do we kind of keep up on what the status of the next community? Like, is there a way to like follow you on socials? Do we?
Yes, I do
what's
have
the
a
best way?
Facebook and a TikTok.
Okay. Cool, I know Mr. Director was on TikTok, so. That's awesome. We're excited to see what that becomes, and hopefully some of our board and our community will check out your book. Like you said, you can buy it on Amazon or Barnes & Noble, but we are really proud. I specifically am proud to be a Husky right now, to be able to stand with somebody that's accomplished so much at such a young age. So I hope that you keep writing, and we look forward to seeing what happens in the future. So congratulations.
Thank you.
This will be their chance to get signed early on. So I'm gonna have you just stay. Go 1, 2, 3. So we've got a few more recognitions tonight. I'm excited to bring back a face that you've seen before. This is one of our students, Miss Eva Perez, who is a senior this year, who has accomplished great things in the world of golf. And so I'm going to introduce Coach Sweet here and let him talk a little bit about her season and the success of the team in general, but just speak a little bit to your success as a high school athlete.
Thanks, Jason.
Yeah.
If you don't mind, I'm going to tell them a little about you. She's very reluctant to this, so I thank her for being here. First of all, she's serves as a distinction of serving the longest in a golf program and any of our programs, for boys or the girls. She started in 7th grade. We started a middle school program a while back, and she's one of the only people that's done it all the way through. She also was a member of the only team to ever qualify for a sectional as a freshman. She'll be back at the school to be nominated to the Wall of Fame when that happens in 5 years. She also, there's no one who's been to more sectional tournaments in the girls program except for Carson Rossich, who is being nominated for the Wall of Fame this week. So Eva's been to the sectional tournament 3 times, her freshman year, sophomore year, and her senior year. Oh, you're just freshman, junior, see, she's smart. But each time she found a way to play golf at the right time. As golf goes, you play golf at the end of the season the best, and then you can play golf further in October. And she's done it each time. And haven't you played on your birthday each time you've done it? Is that true, or the day before? Okay. So she usually coincides around her birthday. It's usually a pretty good birthday. She also then embodies our mission statement for the district, and she embodies everything that is good inside of Harlem in her. So I'm glad you took the time to recognize her this year for what she's done all 5 years, 6 years. She's actually played in the golf program. Thanks.
So tell us what, before we clap, before we start. So what's next for you? What happens in your senior year? What are your plans, if you have some?
I'm gonna go to college, obviously. I haven't decided yet. I'm still waiting for a few decision letters before I make my big decision, but I'm still deciding if I want to play golf in college or not, but probably won't end up and just make sure I'm focusing on like my education.
Awesome. Well, obviously golf's a lifelong sport, and you can play that for a long time, but we wish you the best of luck as you go into college and whatever comes next. So now we can give her a Make your exercise tonight, so you guys can remember on.
I'll stand.
Okay, there you are. All right, here we go. 1, 2, 3. Awesome, congratulations. Yeah, we got a few more still.
Awesome.
As you can tell, I'm always like a month or two behind in the seasons. But tonight, now we get to recognize our boys sectional qualifiers. So we have Coach Scott Lemke here with 3 of his athletes who qualified for sectionals as well. And so I'm going to let them introduce themselves, tell us what your name is, obviously, what grade you're in, and then we'll let Coach talk a little bit about the season.
I'm Elijah Skidmore. I'm a senior. I'm Sawyer Rothermill. I'm a senior as well.
I'm Jake Elliott, I'm a sophomore.
We have really enjoyed the last couple of years a resurgence in participation in the boys golf team. We had 18 participants last year, and this year we had 27, which is the largest team we've had since I've been a part of the program since '07. So, and it's been a kind of combination of our players recruiting and then coaches recruiting as well, and it's been a great joy and challenge because, as you probably are aware, golf is a sport where we don't always get participants that have been playing since they were this big. We get them coming out kind of for the first time, and so it's almost like you're doing beginner's lessons for a great deal of them, all the way up to students who participated for quite a while. So, and if you participate in golf at all, you're probably aware of how frustrating a game it can be. And I think one of the most unique aspects of golf, along with tennis, is that they are the players, but they're also the officials. We don't have people walking around enforcing rules. They're responsible for knowing the rules on their own and holding themselves and their opponents accountable. And so there's certainly a level of etiquette that comes along with the game. And these young men, as well as the rest of the players on the team, have represented our, themselves, their families, our school and our district to the highest degree, so much that our team for the 3rd consecutive year was awarded the Sportsmanship Award in the NIC 10. So not only are they doing their best in accomplishing, or having success in the game, but they're representing themselves in our district in the proper way, and that certainly is commendable in a game that can certainly be so frustrating and so forth as well. So I'm very proud of them. And the other thing that I just want to mention is that they are all multiple sport athletes at one time or another, and they have, I hope golf has contributed to mental toughness in their other sports as well, but it's also a different level of determination and grit that they demonstrate, and super proud of the success that Eli and Sawyer have had. We hate to see him go, and Jake was actually this is his first year playing organized golf, and just out of nowhere took to it naturally, finished 7th in the conference as an individual, tied for 3rd at the regional as an individual, and so we are extremely excited to see where he goes the next couple of years, and certainly I'm sure he would attest that the leadership that we had on our team with Sawyer and Eli and the rest of the seniors is part of the reason he had success, and the rest of the team had success as well. And so we appreciate all your support and all the stakeholders of the district as well.
So before we clap for them as well, let's find out from our seniors. You got plans for next year yet?
Yeah, I'm going to play baseball at Rock Valley.
Okay, awesome.
I'm going to play golf at Rock Valley.
He's going to play golf at Harlem for
You recognize next year.
We'll see if 50-year eligibility is a thing.
All right. Well, on behalf of the Harlem School District and the Board of Education, congratulations to the 3 of you, coach as well, on great seasons. We wish you the best in the future.
Thank you.
I'll go in the back.
I know.
There we go.
There you go. Right over your shoulder. I think I got all of this. So here we go. 1, 2, 3. Awesome. Oh, sorry. Yep.
Oh, we got one more? Oh, one more?
We got Mom. Do what Mom says. Mom said on the team.
Congratulations. All right. So one more recognition, one more photo. Mr. Stewart, I'm gonna have you come up. I've got a few friends that may be joining me up here. Maybe.
They are joining you.
They are joining me up here. So it is my privilege to recognize one of our staff members this evening, Mr. Stuart Beckius. He is our custodian at Parker Center. You, as you I know, are all aware, played an instrumental part in a situation that occurred not too long ago with our electrical issue at Parker Center. He really sprung into action, really jumped in to ensure the safety of our staff that were present in the building at the time, but obviously also to contact the fire department right away to minimize the damage from the situation. The other piece of this, and I'm going to let maybe somebody else say a few things if they want, that was really impressive too, is that, you know, he was there doing his building check stuff, I believe, at the time, right? And so that, but he stayed to carry out to ensure that that everything was where it needed to be and what needed to happen in order for us to get school back up and running on Tuesday. And so he really did go above and beyond what is required of his job to make sure that we were ready to go on Tuesday. So we obviously really appreciate that. And so I didn't really ask them to prepare anything, so I'm just going to put him on the spot. But I know that we're here to celebrate him and to thank him. And so
There you go, I will. Well, and it's perfect that we talk so much about golf tonight, because since Mr. Stewart ended up being at the building all day that day, he got robbed of his beloved passion of playing golf. And so
He had a tea time.
he had to miss it because he had to make sure the building was A-okay and that everybody was safe. So your coworkers, we felt very bad about that, and we want to make sure that you get to play a lot of golf next season. So we got you your golf pass. Because we want you to play lots of golf outside of his working hours. But we want you to know how much we appreciate that you stopped building from burning down and go play lots of golf. Exactly. Rebuilding a library would have been quite pricey, so.
Yeah, so. Well, obviously, on behalf of the Board of Education and Home School Districts, our staff, and our families as well, thank you so much for what you do. Not only there at that moment and that day, but that you do on a regular basis. The pleasure of seeing you often through the halls and the hard work you put into to maintain that building. And so I know that I can speak for these 4 ladies here that we really appreciate it. So thank you very much.
That's probably not necessary. It's not necessary. That's one.
Oh, yeah.
1, 2, 3.
Stacked deck, Jason. That's a good one there.
Yeah. I do have to say thank you. Not only to you, but also to the teachers there that day that used their sign-in and sign-out
Oh,
sheet.
yeah. It helped.
It was, so I
I
want
can
to
call
say.
them and tell them to get out of the building.
Perfect. So it worked out on all ends.
Yes, it
Thank you
did.
again, sir.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay. Moving on to comments from the community. We have a sheet. Turn it over to Mr. Paul.
Good evening. My name's Paul Hoffman, and I've spoken to the board before of my concerns with books and different things in the library, and so don't need to go over that. But I just would encourage, in light of Governor Pritzker, the legislation regarding books in the library, that the board would discuss a policy regarding age appropriateness and approvals and reviews of books, materials, for content, because we all here understand that ideas have consequences and ideas move the world. We see good ideas and bad ideas. An example of bad ideas that drove the October 7th event in Israel, as well as the Holocaust, were all idea driven. So just appreciate the role that you have as a school board and as committees reviewing the materials, and just encourage, from the community standpoint, due diligence. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Katie Littlefield.
Good evening. My name is Katie Littlefield. I'm a former board member at Hononegah and Rockton, and now I live in the Harlan School District and a taxpayer here, so I appreciate all the job that you do and the work that you do and the time that you put in. And so I'm just here to talk about the library policies as well, with everything going on, and we know a lot of controversy that has gone across our country about libraries and all of that. And so about age appropriate, sort of what Paul was saying, having age appropriate materials in the right library. So I'm going to ask that you would revisit the library policies and put a hold on voting on that tonight, or the first reading. I don't know how you do that specifically as a board, just to push pause on that to really create a robust policy for how you curate your library and what comes in and what is in the certain libraries as well, so that it's just a very strong and clear for parents as well. I think parents don't have an idea of necessarily what's in libraries, what's not in libraries, so maybe a different system on how parents can become better educated on what's in the libraries, what they would want their students looking at, what they wouldn't want their students looking at. So I'm just asking for you to take consideration of that and to do, that's sort of what Paul was saying, a due diligence on that to make a more clear policy there. Thank you.
Thank you. No one else slandered the last name. Is it? It's Geddes?
Geddes.
Geddes.
Bob Geddes.
Okay.
You might wonder, a guy from Rockton, why he's coming down here to speak for this board. I'm secretary in the Hononegah School Board. I'm also the vice president of the Talcott Free Library Board. And as many of you may know, Talcott has gone through in the last year some controversy about books and et cetera. My connection really to this board is I also sit on the Illinois Association of School Boards Board of Directors also. So, and I'm not sure you there, and I represent one of your secretaries was on the board too, Evelyn, I think. Mm-hmm. So just a couple of cautions. Under Governor Pritzker's legislation, once a book gets into your library, then there's a procedure about banning it. You can't ban it. And what I would encourage you to do, and I'm doing it with the Talcott Library, I'm trying to develop a policy that we set a policy on what types of books come in before they get in. Secondly, in the process of this controversy that happened in Talcott over the last year, I made a point of reading about 6 of the books, cover to cover, so I understood what was in these books. Because there's a lot out there, controversy about some of these books. And some of the books, I said, these books are appropriate for a parent whose child is dealing with some of the issues. But there's some other books that really, in my opinion, are not. So I would encourage you to set some kind of, take your own initiative. And when you see some of these books coming in, I encourage you to look at them and read them. And don't just scan them. Just read them for content so you have an understanding of what may be coming into your library. Okay. The other thing is, in your policy, you have some complaint procedure that would be filed with the American Library Association. I would also encourage you to understand more about the American Library Association and what some of their policies are and some of their agendas are. This is a local issue that you need to discuss, and the more you push it up to a national thing, then other forces get involved. So I just encourage you to be cautious about the policy that you develop going forward. I thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. move it into Josh.
All right, thank you. So I emailed everyone that we had a couple updates to the bills, and they're attached online and at your place. So sometimes with one meeting a month, it gets tricky to make sure they're all paid in time. So I apologize, I try not to do that, but I will read the updated payable summary. So the total payables this period were $5,560,578.30. There were 2 payrolls this period for a total of $6,894,120.29. For total expenditures of $12,454,698.59. Split out by fund, the education fund paid $7,085,491.99. The operations and maintenance fund paid $465,869.14. The debt service fund paid $2,362,225. Just a quick note, that's all of our principal payments this year and most of the interest for our debt service fund. The transportation fund paid $413,070.02. The IMRF Social Security Fund paid $242,523.44. The Capital Projects Fund paid $1,885,519. The majority of this is CTE in addition to Rock Cut and some of the other projects that we did. So, and that's, again, total expenditures of $12,454,698.59. Were there any bill questions that were unanswered? That's it for the bills.
All right, thanks, sir. Need a motion for approval of the bills.
Motion.
Second. Ms. Hastings, aye. Mr. Sterling?
Aye.
Mr. Thompson?
Aye.
Mr. McKnight?
Aye.
Ms. Carlson? Aye. Mr. Smith?
Yes.
All right, turning it over to communications and committee reports. First off, would like to at least acknowledge our student Kennedy Myers, who had 2 books already. Amazing. I loved it that we brought something that was academic and not just sports, so that was good to start off with as well. And thank you, Jason, for bringing that to our attention. As much as we can exemplify those attributes in our district is something that we should do. The golf team's doing well. I'm very thankful that we have those robust teams. I remember the fall watching what I thought was like 30-some kids walk through for golf, and I was like, that's the first I've ever seen. It was bigger than some of the other sports that actually put more than one person on at a time. So kudos to them. I do want to acknowledge some other good things that happened in this district. Did the Olson Park musical the other night. Both our kids were in it. We did a great job. I didn't know my son could play the ukulele, but
He did great.
Might be under the tree now.
He did great.
We also were able to bring out 237 of our kids out Saturday. Jason was there for that, for Christmas for Kids. That was 237 kids that were able to get a Christmas present and buy their own gifts. Some were getting shoes and other things that they needed at the house, but whatever they wanted, they were able to get, besides a gun or any violent toy kind of thing. But that was really good, and all those funds were provided by our community. So just to know that it got brought back. That was that Saturday, and you were there for Shop with the Cap with our kids as well. That was 65 on there, so I mean, quick math, over 300 kids in our area that were able to receive something that they didn't have to, and it was all provided by our local people. So I just wanted to say thank you again for that. We had some real good support, teachers, firemen, counselors, everybody out there, just out there supporting. So thank you. With that, we have our next regular board meeting Tuesday, January 16th, 2024. It's gonna be the new year, 6 PM. Another policy committee meeting, February 20th, 2024 at 4:30. And then we have recommendations to approve first reading of policy updates from November 15th, 2023 policy committee meeting.
Michael?
Yep.
I'd like to request that the policy 6, 230, 230 AP, and 230 APE be pushed out for a separate vote.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd also like to discuss 7.6 before we, 7.60 before we voted on it.
So, let me get these all down, the right direction.
Which ones were all the ones?
What was it?
7.60.
7.60.
7.60. Now, did you also have one with 5.3?
Well, I just,
So it's just based.
that was purely irony.
Four right here, correct?
I have to ask though, because you made mention. All right, and what was the other one?
6, 230, AP, the first one AP, and then AP and E.
6, 230,
So 6230, 6230.
Yes.
Is there three of them?
Yes.
Okay.
6, 230 AP.
Okay, we will pull those out for separate votes. And with that, I turn it over to Mr. Kurtowski.
Perfect, as I note those down. Thanks, everyone. I'd like to just call out the community and the great work that they did, being able to take 300 kids and make their Christmas a little bit better is great, and it's nice to see the support that our community has for that. Kennedy Myers, if she's not here, that's one, amazing to have a book, but also just I love the story just as much, the initiative of going, how do I do this? I'm not supposed to be able to do this. I can just YouTube it. Like, I just love that going through and not just doing that, but going down that rabbit hole, figuring out how to do it and being successful not once but twice. It's great to hear that for it. All of our golf team members and the continued success that they have, and boy are they tall. Yes. Absolutely. That must be why I'm bad at golf. And then to Stuart. Just one, I love not sitting here having to deal with what are we doing without having a school that needs to be either correctively rebuilt or having major issues that we're instead giving out golf to successfully making sure everyone is okay. And everyone, the fire department coming in there, the communications going back and forth, making sure everyone is safe. But yeah, his continued work is great to have someone that's in their district, and hopefully keep them there as well. Into the community, as always, everyone comes out, everyone has different opinions, and making sure that everyone is involved on all cases. It's great having someone coming up from Rockton, so actively involved to get your opinion. It's great to hear that as we go through and take this very seriously for all of that. Outside of that, this is our last one ahead of winter break, so hopefully all teachers enjoy their upcoming break for Christmas or any holiday that you celebrate. And even more exciting than all those holidays is going to be your opportunity, just as many seats to be filled, at our next Business Services Committee meeting. He doesn't look like Santa Claus, but close. We have Josh. And we'll hear all the good things coming here on January 10th, 2024, 5:30. A little earlier than this one.
You said close.
And with that, I will turn it over. Evelyn is out. Would you want me to read her?
That would be fine.
Sure. Opportunity for the next meeting there is the Equity and Social Justice meeting. That one you can sneak in here before. That is going to be December 21st, 2023 at 4:30, even earlier. So at the high school, thank you. It did not show the room number on this one. Is there a room number that needs to be done?
West 145.
Thank you. There we go. And I will turn it over to Aaron.
Going third is always tough because I get to echo everything that Michael and Kurt had already said. I guess there's one plaguing question. Is Ms. Myers' books in our libraries?
They should be, because it's fantastic.
I'm just asking if they are, if anybody can answer that. And if they aren't, we should look into that.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody can say anything bad about those books, so the more the merrier. But I couldn't even write a short story in high school, so I mean, to actually, I did get a writing award in college for something I made up, but as a true story, but anyways, but no, that's a remarkable, golf teams, I'm just, I don't know, I think I have clubs and ponds at multiple golf courses throughout the area. Some of you all probably do too. And then Stuart, the way that whole incident at Parker Center was, the way that it was handled, I think throughout everybody, internally, externally, I think we dodged a huge bullet there just because of I believe that we were prepared for it. I believe there's there's things that are taking place on the back end that are setting ourselves up for success with that. Also, with some of the emails that I've received lately, all the board members have received, I want to shout out to our resource officers. You guys, like with some of the things that you guys are doing, I feel that we're moving in the right direction with discipline, with helping our kids, and keeping people safe at sporting events. You know what we're talking about here, but I think you guys I really appreciate you. Obviously, there's some things coming up that you guys are excited about, but I don't think that you guys get the recognition. So shout out, you got one from me. So. Other than that, I'm going to turn my time over. And then the community for all the gifts. That's just outstanding. But once again, I'm just echoing somebody else. So, Rebecca?
Thank you. I want to say congratulations to especially our book writer. Oh my gosh, I can't imagine. I used to write stories myself, but I would never have thought to get them published, and certainly nothing that large. To Stuart, that's, wow. Working with 5-year-olds is a thing in all by itself, let alone, but saving the building basically from burning to the ground or whatever might have happened is fantastic. To the golf kids, they've been eating a lot of Tyson chicken or something. Super tall. It's great that they're doing what they're doing. And I want to make a personal shout out to Chris Glasder, I think was his name, for gifting me with a RJC shirt. I really impressed with that, and I didn't expect one, but I think that was fantastic that he took the time to do that. I wanted to bring up a little bit about myself, my own personal opinions about the library media that's going on in our school district. I understand I am not, personally I'm not a book banner. I think books belong in our library. I think they need to be in there, and everybody that writes one, especially our new writers, should have a book in the library. Personally, my concern is that we need age-appropriate guidelines. And we need to, if we look out into our communities, we have everything that is out there, the media is basically rated. We have movies that are rated, we have TV that is rated, we have video stores that are rated, we have video games that are rated, we have basically everything out there is rated in some way or another, except our library medias. And I understand that that could be a huge job to be rating everything in our libraries, but I think that there's a lot of concern for the age appropriate, just the age groups of what these kids are reading, and the idea that, you know, if we don't have guidelines personally and we allow some of these regulations to go through, you know, what's to stop some pervert from sending a, you know, subscription to Hustler to Parker Center? I mean, that would be horrible. And so it just is I mean, it would never happen. I expect it would never happen, and that would be really insane. But at the same time, I think we need guidelines that say, hey, if there's any kind of violence, horror, you know, blood, you know, just the things that you would go to like an R movie should be rated R in our books as well. It should be rated 17 and above. We have things that are you know, a lot of violence, a lot of profanity should be listed possibly for your 13 and up grades. And then, you know, we should just have, and I understand there's a lot of people that believe some of that and a lot of people that don't, but I just feel like we need something that says, if you're this age, you can't read something like that. You can't be accessible to something like that unless your parent takes you to the library and gives you that. I think as a school district, we are here, I mean, if you look at our, even our computer systems, we keep our students from getting into things that we know they're not supposed to be getting into just by what, I can't even get into some of the stuff that I might want to look at on the internet. It's not available. And I look at our equity newsletter that just came out in this past week, and it has a lot of great things that are in it about the different books and the recommendations, but even in that, they recommend for an age group. There's for the little ones, there's for the older ones. And some of the, even like your Native Americans that they spoke of, are for the younger kids or for the older kids. So we know, even as a district, we have recommendations for age-appropriate material. But I would just like to see that be more in-depth into our library systems, whether it's, books, videos, CDs, DVDs, all of the information that goes in our libraries. I just want to see it be a little more careful as to who's accessing it. So that's pretty much all it is. Hope we can work together in a lot of different ways with this kind of thing. So I appreciate you listening. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I'd like to point out what Mr. McKnight said about the what went on at Parker Center, and that there are things in place to put things in place to make this a great school district. I just wanted to make sure that I recognized all of the support staff and paraprofessionals. They all do a terrific job, a lot of them behind the scenes to make sure that everything runs smooth and the kids get everything that they need in order to be successful in schools. So thank you. And I'd also like to mention what Mr. Lemke said. I truly appreciated that he put that whole sportsmanship thing right at the top. He used the fact that those golf players are responsible for officiating themselves, and that the whole ethics behind it and the whole idea of fair play and doing things right is just so important, and that sportsmanship, we all should learn that it is about fair play. It is about treating everybody the way that we want to be treated. And I really appreciate Mr. Lemke saying that. And I also, at the Education Committee meeting, it's so interesting. We just talked about the library and the selection process. Couldn't have been, what was it, 3 months ago? It wasn't that long ago. We just talked about it at length because it is an important thing. And yeah, the Harlem School District was right there being proactive in looking at the process. And so I really appreciate it. It just shows you how great the Education Committee is. And we're going to have an Education Committee coming up here. We're going to call it the Solstice Edition. And it's going to be December 19th, 2023. Appropriate solstice dress is recommended. It will be here at 4:30 p.m. So, looking forward to it.
Thank you, sir. Megan Hastings.
So like Josh said, we only have one meeting in December, so stick with me. Olson Park, I went to their book fair and their art show. There was a line down the hall, so I'm so excited to see engaged readers ready to grab some books with their parents. Shout out to Elena for somehow managing that checkout. Fun activities, community continued to show up throughout the night. We did, my daughter and I did some sort of like clue game to narrow down what teacher was responsible for the missing something. I don't know, it was really fun. And while driving to that, I saw McChesney's choir concert line wrapped around the building. So that was pretty amazing. Echo Mike on the Olson Park concert, the gym was packed. The music teacher not only taught instruments, but had like a whole switch to the set, so every kid was involved in every facet of the thing. It was really awesome to see. We did light up the parks, which was so much fun. The bus was beautiful. The community was out in numbers, and I got to spend some time with Kurt and his family, Josh and his family. It was Terrell and his family. It was super fun. Special shout out to Rock Cut, Windsor, McChesney. They hosted me for a visit right before Thanksgiving, and I am just, every single time I get into a building at Harlem, I'm continuously more and more impressed. The teachers that I got to meet, the kids that I got to meet, how engaged our admins are. I mean, Principal Kaczynski even put me to work. I did lunchtime duty. I did recess duty. It was really, an awesome way to kind of build into that Thanksgiving break. So thank you for the schools who hosted me. If you are not following the Culinary Arts Instagram, you should. This week was Charcuterie Week. So we learned how to properly cut cheese based on the variety, and for all my elementary Huskies, including my own watching, I now properly know how to cut the cheese. That was for Mila. I got to meet Kennedy at her book signing, and holy cow. So I was worried I wasn't going to get a chance to read the book before tonight. I did get through it. I finished it last night. Before I went to bed, and it's not my genre, and I was open with Kennedy about that. I was like, I read really boring nonfiction, so YA romance / thriller was not on my TBR list for the year. However, I'm glad to hear that it's on Amazon and in Barnes & Noble, because it can hold up to anything I've read about current YA. Really impressive student, and I'm so glad that we could have her in. I suggest everybody go grab a book and have her sign it, because I don't think this is going to be the last we'll hear from Kennedy. Alumni shout out. Mike will know this person. Sarah Reed McNamara is a Harlem alumni, and she was just featured in a national magazine. Kurt, for your Instagram needs, that's SRM Prince on Instagram. So she has a 5 or 6 page spread in here about her brick and mortar she just opened up in the center of downtown Rockford. So our alumni are doing awesome things. Our kids are doing awesome things. Like, there's so much to be proud about when it comes to Harlem. And if you have not finished up your Christmas list, I suggest you go ahead and stop by her store. She's got plenty of goodies for anybody in your life. Holiday message for everybody rolling into the holidays. I want to wish everybody a happy and healthy winter break. Rest up, spend time with loved ones, and we'll see you in January. And lastly, so I want to real quickly take into consideration, Board Member Carlson, what you said on the books, and I do also want to, for anybody who was not at the policy meeting, clarify that we could have adopted press. And press is a lot more stringent on who can actually review the books. You guys can Google me and know what side of the book battle I'm on. That's not a surprise to anybody. I will say, though, that I am a huge proponent of compromise, and this policy is a compromise. It's absolutely a compromise. We have a 6th grade transition. Let's do that. We want our funding. Let's keep that. We want low taxes. Let's keep that. So just for anybody who is not at policy, I would urge you to actually take a look at what press asked us to adopt and the work that went into actually putting into place what you see into place. So that's it.
Thank you. With that, rolling on to Dr. Michelle Rubin.
Thank you. I have 3 overnight travels that I'm bringing forward. I want to just point out that all of them are for state competition, and we will need to qualify in order for that overnight to occur. But I have requested with our athletic departments to please do that ahead of time, because I don't like sending you guys an email saying, hey, I'll talk about this after it occurs. So the first one being in January, it's for boys bowling. They would leave on the 24th and return on the 28th. The state bowling is in Fairview Heights. The second one is for IHSA cheer. That takes place in Bloomington. The team would leave on February 1st and return on the 4th. And then the final one is IDTA State for dance. That occurs in Springfield, and the dance team would leave on February 9th and return on the 10th. So I am just asking for approval on those 3 items this evening.
Thank you. Josh Ring.
All right, thank you. The first item tonight is a recommendation to approve a surplus declaring, a resolution declaring surplus property at the high school, Folsom Park, Maple, Harlem Administration Center, Loves Park, Windsor, Transportation, and Parker Center. So not quite all of the buildings, but there's quite a bit of surplus on there tonight. Are there any questions regarding the surplus we're recommending? Next is a recommendation to approve a facility request with Junior Huskies cheerleading. This is a Sunday rental at the middle school in January. I believe they have an event there. Questions on that? Okay. Next is a recommendation to accept the July and August 2023 treasurer's reports. My next item is the audit. So now that the audit is done, I'm catching up on the months of treasurer's reports. So there'll be 2 each meeting until we are caught up. So for the next couple months, I reviewed the August treasurer's report, even though it's still pretty early in our fiscal year, only being a month to, we've only been in school a couple weeks at that point. So next month it'll be September and October, and so we'll start to get a little bit better picture of how things are trending in. So, any questions on the treasurer's report? Okay, so last week's business services meeting, Lindsay Fish from Sikich came and presented the FY23 audit. I've attached the final version of the 160-page, right, Aaron, information.
Yeah, I read every one of them too.
I'm sure Kennedy's book's a lot better.
Yeah.
Every one of them.
If you're having trouble sleeping, I recommend the audit. It will definitely help. There's a ton of information in there, and I know that not everyone's had an opportunity to fully review that. So if any point, whether it's tonight or any point in the future, there's questions or anyone wants to sit down, please feel free to reach out. We can take a look at that. If you look at the back half, I think it's the last 20 pages or a little bit more, is the statistical section of our ACFR, and so that has a lot of comparative information, sometimes 10-year historical. So it's kind of good to get an idea of kind of where the past has been on that. So are there any questions on accepting the audit?
Good feedback.
Yeah. Yes, thank you. Also, we will send that, I mentioned in business services, to the Association of School Business Officials to be reviewed, and then they issue a certificate if we meet their guidelines. So we'll send that before break. So next is a recommendation to approve award of bid to Larson Equipment and Furniture for the purchase and installation of cafeteria tables at Ralston Elementary for a total cost of $72,923. We've worked with Larson before, and they provide a really quality table, and if you look at some of those other bid prices, while this is a little bit higher in the past, it was much better than the $131,000 bid that we got.
I meant to ask you this in business services. Do these come with any kind of a warranty?
I'm sure, yeah, I don't have that off the top of my head, but yeah.
And in the consideration, I'm assuming you compared that as well? I forgot to ask that at business services.
Typically, they're pretty similar, but
Okay. I'm assuming, but I'm just curious, you know?
Yeah.
Because they get used.
Because we had some stuff at Windsor, so we were contacting that company, and they were coming out and look at it and
Okay.
stuff like that. So.
That was my only question.
Yep. Any other questions on that? Okay. So next is a recommendation to approve an agreement with Arc Design to provide design and working drawings for the 2024 summer pavement replacement project. This is for Marquette. This is one that we pulled off the last board meeting. We had quite a bit of conversation at Business Services, and we talked about what's required, what do we need for this project, and I reached out to the regional office, and part of that ROE permitting process is that any project over $50,000 requires signed off plans by an architect or engineer. We did contract directly with the engineer here, which saves about $3,500 in this process. So that's design, permitting, bidding, and oversight of that project. So that not only covers the requirement, but also just all of the local rules and regulations and making sure that everything's built according to the rules.
So by pulling it and doing it with this different one, 3,500 savings?
Yes. Yep.
Take the pile where you can.
And I appreciate all the conversation we had too about this.
Yeah, thank you.
I think we all learned something there.
Yeah.
I think we all gained some intellect on processes.
Are there any other questions on that? Okay. Next is a recommendation to approve an agreement with Permar Security to update the monitoring system at Rock Cut Elementary. We talked about with the new gymnasium coming online, there are no more spots to put a buzzer access, so this is updating the back end kind of brains of that system and making it cloud-based and more modern. That cost to update that is $4,446. $4,446.18. It is an extra $106 a month for monitoring because what we're paying is fairly low, and we can't update really anything security-wise unless we physically go to the building. We can't remote in, so this will give us an app and real-time information. And so this will be the first building that we have updated to being a current back-end system on that. So, are there any questions on that? All right, my last item tonight is a recommendation to approve an agreement with the Regional Office of Education for Teacher Institute Wellness Fair Professional Development at a cost of $6,025 paid with Title II funds. There's a memo from Becky Logan and Jake Hubert, just laying out those classes and dollar amounts.
It's the yoga classes. Is there the option to work in your classroom class? I've heard that request.
Oh, I hear that often, but that's not something that you can do for sick days or institute days as far as school code.
Okay, just interesting
Yeah,
when you note yoga versus that the yoga is
professionally.
Yes.
Bring some small goats to the yoga.
We're not doing goat yoga.
If there are no other questions, that's my report tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And with that, Dr. Shelley Leitner.
Greetings. Good evening.
Greetings.
All right, tonight I have the recommendation to approve the personnel agenda and addendum. We have 10 transfers tonight. One has a correction. For Kaylee Knudsen, it was listed as general program assistant, should read bus assistant. So that was corrected on the addendum. There are 11 employments, 3 Federation Bank requests, 18 resignations. What I want to note about the resignations is that there were 2 revisions to dates for resignations, and they should both be January 2nd, 2024. And that is on the addendum. That's all I have for you tonight.
Thank you, thank you. Dr. Terrell Yarbrough.
All right, well, I got quite a few FOIAs here that I have to read. Bear with me
Popcorn.
here. All right, so first one, submitted on September 26, 2023 from Laura Quesada of Coca-Cola, requesting the most recent beverage contract and the district response dated November 14, 2023 with attached responsive documents. The next FOIA submitted on October 31st, 2023 from William Ingalls of WREX, requesting email information on a personnel matter and the district response dated November 16, 2023 to a narrow request with appropriate information attached. Okay. Next one, submitted on November 16th of 2023 from Catherine Casey of Science of Reading, Illinois, submitted on November 16th, 2023, which is a duplicated request for curricular information grades K through 3. Next one, submitted on November 26, 2023 by Patrick Lee, requesting latest IAQ and environmental testing for schools. Next one, submitted on October 16, 2023 from Michael Rost, I believe, CEO of Luma Data, requesting information on the property and casualty insurance for all lines of insurance in the district's response dated November 21st, 2023, attaching requested documents. And then the last one, submitted on October 12, 2023 from Molly McCain, requesting information for our FPs and bids related to school photography vendors and the district's response dated November 21st, 2023, attaching relative documents. Okay, now, any questions on any of those? Read those kind of quickly. Jason is about to give you all the update on our long-range plan. Part of our responsibility is to make sure that the board is updated on the strategies that we are working on in the district, and so Jason's going to do that. Beforehand, I'm really proud of, man, I'm going to have her on the podcast too, so that's going to be cool. for Kennedy to be able to come on the podcast and talk about her book. So
Nice.
A little plug there. So I think she's coming Monday, and we'll have her on. We'll ask all those questions that Jason didn't get to ask, and then we'll put that up there for everybody to see. But really proud of her and what she's doing. So that's outstanding. So.
All right, so this evening I'm going to provide a brief overview of some of the activities that we've been working on. As you're aware, last year you approved the goals that we have as part of our strategic plan from 2022 to 2027. And so my job this evening is to just update you on the progress of some of our strategies that we're working on towards these goals. And so as you're also aware, you're going to see in this that a lot of these strategies are things that are really initiated and led by us as an administrative team, including some of our directors at the district level. Much of what you approved through the school improvement plans are led by your building principals and their leadership teams within their schools. And so much of that is data-driven at the local level, at the building level. And so you're looking here at things that we're doing at the higher level to ensure that we are meeting these goals as a district. And so I'm going to take you through each of these. I invite you to ask questions. I'll do my best to answer if appropriate. As you know, I am really the communicator about some of these things, and so if there's anything that you see in here that you feel like is something that you'd like to learn more about or hear more about, we always, Dr. and myself, can always invite people in to kind of give you an overview of some of the programs that we mentioned in here. So, all right, so we broke our long-range plan into 3 components tied to the Illinois State Board of Education's long-range plan. So they have 3 priority areas. The first is student learning. So we have 2 goal statements tied to student learning. And so the strategies that we've been working on this past school year, so 2022-23, many of which you'll see are kind of in progress or ongoing. We are in the process of starting to develop a profile of a graduate. The next steps of this process will really be involving some of our stakeholders as we really shape what it is we want our graduates to look like. What do they look like when they leave our district? What skills do they possess? What characteristics do they have? And so this is really exciting work for us. Dr. Yarbrough and Jake Hubert are really taking the lead on some of this, and so in the coming months we're going to continue that. So you'll see this one as another strategy that we're working on this year because we want to make sure we really get this right, because this is something that's reflective just as a mission statement or vision statement. This really is a reflection of who we say we are and what we say we're about. We had a course equity analysis completed for specialized programs, EC through 12. So a lot of the information that came out of that assessment has been shared over time at our education committee meetings, where we really look at our programs and the students that are participating in our various programs. We also really we use this study to ensure that we're meeting the requirements of grants. For example, the Parent Initiative or Preschool for All grants, making sure that we're meeting the requirements of the grant. So Nikki and her crew completed that analysis. We also completed last year the vertical curriculum articulation of the learning standards in social studies and world languages for grades 7 through 12. Just as a note, as they were going through, this is carrying over into this year as we really look at how we incorporate in the 6th grade and what does that transition look like, specifically around social studies and world languages. And just as a side note to this, Jake is in the process of developing a 5-year cycle. So as we look at our different departments, you'll hear me mention science here in a second, social studies, math, he's working on a cycle that will, a 5-year cycle to review and do this similar process to ensure that we're obviously providing a high quality experience for our students. We also created an inventory, Heidi and her department and the Student Support Services created an inventory of instructional curriculum for students with individualized education plans. So they've got a document that has actually not been shared yet, but that their group has been working on that really lays out all of the curriculum resources that they have for their students with IEPs. Next up, we have our goal that will provide students the opportunity to engage and connect students beyond the classroom through interest-based activities. This first item is one that is in progress. It's one I'm taking on. I've started the process of evaluating all the programs that we offer. These are our extracurricular clubs and activities, things that happen within the school day, outside the school day. And so as I'm working on this one, because it is taking some time, I'm really starting to look at, okay, now what does the participation look like? What are our numbers for this? And then eventually we will start to develop a plan to really look at doing a gap analysis and understanding where do we have opportunities to get kids connected. But this also transitions to athletics, to any of the things that we offer as well. So that's in progress, so that was not completed over the course of last year, but it's something that we are still working on. We also have developing a plan for the implementation of work-based learning opportunities, post procedures on the Career Pathway website. So this is another one as they are, that program, our pathways and our endorsement areas are evolving. That process is continuing to evolve just like the next one below. They're still in the process of really kind of creating a structured plan for ensuring that all of our students and families understand what our college and career endorsements look like, what our career pathways look like, what that means to them. So while they're doing communication and they're making families aware of the things that are available and the students are aware and the counselors are having these meetings, they're doing a lot of that in isolation. So the next step is really to bring this together and say, how do we ensure that all of our kids are prepared to make decisions in regards to this? How do we make sure that our families are aware of what opportunities are presented for our kids? Then lastly, we have developed a plan for increased vocational opportunities for self-contained programs. I'm just going to read this one so I ensure that we get it right. This is one that is completed, but it is always going to be ongoing, just as many of these are. In August, the Practical Assessment Exploration System Lab was installed at Harlem High School. The staff training was conducted. As a result, the students at Harlem High School have the opportunity to participate in experiences, develop practical skills such as taking public transportation, dining, other community-based activities. The community program offers students business skills such as designing and processing t-shirts, for example. We have students that did a self-funded crafts and coffee store. The Life Skills program runs a recycling program. That's been an ongoing program that we've had for our students in the Life Skills program. And then the vocational program provides job activities within the school and continues to operate the closed closet donation program. And so really it's about giving some of our students some of those practical skills to engage in the community outside of school. Pretty cool program there. Our next area is learning conditions. And so some of the strategies that we focused on here is really to complete an evaluation of the district's social and emotional learning curriculum. So this is somewhat completed as they really worked and focused on pre-K through 8th grade. And so a survey was conducted to really look at our social and emotional learning curriculum. Excuse me. Our second step curriculum. And so they had survey data, they talked with staff to figure out what is the best approach to this, what do we need to be doing to ensure that we are doing this stuff with fidelity. And so they really are focusing and continuing to recommend that we focus on second step as our curriculum for social and emotional learning. With that being said, prioritizing the utilization, you'll see that as an upcoming strategy. Also, why this is in progress is that we will be looking at the high school next. And so they started with that over the course of this last year. We'll be working on what social and emotional learning looks like at the high school. Provide professional development on the well-being of our students and staff through our teacher, I apologize, there's a typo, our Teachers Institute Day. And so these documents, I didn't mention this, what I'm reading is actually on our website. And so there is a long-range plan under About Us that if you click on that, you'll get an update of where we're at in the strategies. And so the things that I am reading through, some of these items will have links. And so if you wanted to see what our Teacher Institute Day looked like and all the sessions that were offered and everything that was available and who taught them, you'll be able to see that there. And so if you go to our website, you can get what I'm actually reading to you. And then lastly, we had the assessment of the early development instrument. So this is another one that is in progress, and I know that I'm saying that quite often, but this is a big task for us in working with Parker Center. So we started the process of rolling this information out. This was the survey data that we did 2 years ago with our kindergartners in partnership with Rockford Public Schools and Alignment Rockford. And so we are in the process of really trying to figure out how we want to best utilize this data locally. So we've done some different things community-wide as we roll this information out in partnership with Rockford Public Schools, really looking at our community data. And so the next steps for us is to really bring this locally to us and say, okay, now that we have this data, what are we doing about it to address the specific needs of our communities? Because if you remember from a few years ago when we presented this, that this really localizes down to the neighborhood level some of the challenges that exist and some of the opportunities that exist. And so a lot of valuable feedback that we received through that process. And so we hope to be bringing that to all of you and then locally to our community to really kind of figure out how do we address the needs that were reflected through that survey. Next, the next goal is district will create an equitable environment where all stakeholders feel valued, supported, and safe. And so two of the areas that we focused on was to, one, look at standard reunification. I know some of you got the opportunity to see that at Tri-Conference. And so this is something that Dr. Urban and myself are working on, and this is really a plan that is way bigger than we ever imagined it to be. And so for years we focused on our response to active threats, and so we have ALICE is something that we've trained our students and staff on, and we've been doing that for quite some time, I think 2015 or 13. But a few years ago we had the opportunity to be exposed to the standard reunification and really what that meant to us as a district and what that really looks like in response to an active violent event. And so that's something that we have had some conversations with the new Emergency Services Disaster Agency Coordinator from Winnebago County. We are drafting up all of our plans and working with the I Love You Guys Foundation and the resources that they have. But just to give you an idea, what we've prepared our staff for and our students for is something that usually lasts about 10 minutes. It's about 70% of all school shootings are over within 10 minutes. What we're working on here is something that we anticipate to take 8 to 10 hours after that event. And so as you can tell that there's going to be, just by the time, there's a lot that goes into this, and so we're meeting regularly to work on this, but this is a plan that is way bigger than we ever anticipated, and the further you go, the further you get into it. And so we are excited though that we are going to be here soon, really starting to bring this towards our staff and helping them understand what that looks like. So that will be in progress as well. And then also to develop an equity assessment tool for policies and procedures. So that was something that came out of our Equity and Social Justice Board Committee. We made a recommendation to create a document that we can use to really evaluate our policies and procedures that will allow us to really ask ourselves questions to make sure that we recognize whether or not policies or procedures negatively or positively impact all of our individuals within our school district. And so I think we have a great tool there that really gets us to question, and so now we have to implement that tool. And then we also have the facility maintenance cycle and assess the current and future program needs. And so we had a few items that have been happening. Obviously, you're well aware of the CT addition and the health clinic and the amount of work that's going into all of that. But we are in the process. We're almost wrapped up with the 10-year life safety survey and facility assessment. This is going to be completed here and shared with all of us in the spring, which will really kind of paint the picture of what needs to be addressed from a facility perspective over the next 10 years. And so we're excited to see, well, I don't know if we're excited to see what has to happen in the next 10 years, but we will be getting that and shared with you, all of you, obviously, as we start to plan out what do we need to be working on over the next 10 years. We did update the facility utilization plan, as you saw from our preparation for transition of 6th grade to the middle school. We did have Walton Architects complete the facility utilization study of all of our schools so that we can ensure that we are maximizing the potential of the space that we have available. And then lastly, developing the next year maintenance plan. We do not have a formal plan in place, and that's why it still says in progress, but a lot of work has been done. And so you're well aware of our playgrounds and the work that's been done there, and some of the other projects that we've been doing in the exterior. We've created a position that is a grounds and, what is the name of that position? Landscaping, grounds, and custodian position. Custodian floater that will, this spring, we'll start to actually develop a now official plan with that position in place when we have somebody in that position to really determine how do we ensure that the grounds really represent the high quality school district that we are. And so an official plan in that sense would be that we will start to look at what does that position do, how are they maintaining the grounds and working in partnership with property services. So
we've also been updating a set of basketball hoops at each building, and that should finish this summer. And just as a normal maintenance, we just did the field at Ralston, and we updated these softball fields in McChesney, which were in rough shape, so they look really good too. And then Rock Cut's getting their baseball field with the water tower soon too.
And then the last section is elevating educators, and so for this we have invested in our staff to ensure that they feel prepared, supported, and honored for their role in creating a high-quality experience for all stakeholders. And so two of the strategies that we focused on this past year was developing the equity professional development plan, and so that's something that we've been working on. Dr. Garber and I have met with some staff to figure out what it is that we want to do as part of this plan, but we also have requirements from the state, i.e. implicit bias training that's required, and how do we ensure that we're meeting the requirements of the state and the school code, as well as providing support for our staff in regards to our equity work. And then second to that is creating a staff onboarding review process, which Shelley and her team did. They evaluated our current forms and processes, and we've actually now come into the 21st century, and we've got all of our forms fully digitized through Frontline Central, all of our employee contracts, all of that information. And so we're excited to see that transition occur from HR and moving things to Frontline Central. Another piece to this that the next steps that are kind of trickling into this year is that they're going to implement a process called stay interviews, which is a really, in my perspective, a really great opportunity for us. But stay interviews are structured discussions that leaders conduct with individual employees to strengthen the employees' engagement and retention within the organization. So really getting ourselves in tune with everything from the onboarding process and how that went to just ensuring that our employees, and correct me if I'm saying this wrong, ensuring that our employees are feeling supported, are happy, and hopefully we're able to retain them from that information and those conversations. And then lastly, I know that we're halfway through the school year, but I want to talk about some of the things coming up. And so before I show you these, just a couple things to note. The items that are in progress you're not going to see on here because they're just carrying over. The other piece that I forgot to mention is, you again are all aware, the 6th grade transition and our CT facility and our health clinic are very big ticket items. And so while you'll see that there's not just gobs of different strategies or new things that our team is working on this next year, most of that's because of the fact that those items are very time consuming and requiring a lot of us to be involved in that process. And so as you can see, we will be continuing to focus on our transition to 6th grade. We're going to work with science teachers in grades 6 through 12 to provide training on the next generation science standards, and to work on aligning the vertical articulation of the curriculum. We're assessing the English language arts resources. Illinois State Board of Education just shared the Illinois literacy plan, and so we're looking to align our ELA stuff with the new Illinois literacy plan. We have a group of us that are starting to really explore how we safely implement artificial intelligence and what that looks like. We're already in the process of really starting to draft up the plan for supporting our staff as a way to use that as an educational tool. And so, but that obviously includes policy, practice, what's allowable, how do we ensure the safety of our students and staff through that. And so that's something that we're prioritizing at the moment, as I'm sure aware from all the talk about that. Prioritize the implementation of second step social and emotional learning curriculum. As we found from that survey, one of the things that we need to address is just implementation and the ensuring that people are utilizing it, because we're seeing a strong response when it's done with fidelity, but not everybody is spending as much time as necessary. And so that's something that we're going to focus on is really ensuring that we're doing that well. Completion of the employee health clinic, and then completion of the career and technical education addition and renovations of the high school. As I mentioned, those are big projects and taking a lot of time, and so those will be main focuses of this year, because we want to make sure we get those right, obviously. And then we will take that assessment from the 10-year life safety survey and facility assessment to really start to plan out, and that will come to all of you what our future facility projects are and what they need to be over the next 10 years. And then, as I mentioned, HR is really starting this in January, but they're stay interviews for their human resources department. So, all that being said, I tried to go through it quickly. We've got a lot of great things happening, a lot of work that our team and our leaders are doing. We've got a lot of big projects. projects happening this school year, and so excited to see that stuff come to fruition. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to ask them now, or reach out if there's something that you're interested in, you want to hear more about, I can arrange to have somebody that can speak to it better than me, so.
First off, thank you, Mr. Bloom, for
thank
putting
you.
together such a thorough presentation. Obviously letting the community and the board know of all the things that we are working on. You may have said it, but how can the community keep track of our progress?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you go to our website under About Us, there's a button for a long-range plan. If you click on that, you'll see the goal statements, you'll see the strategies and the information that I just shared with you. Then you'll also see the list of the 2023-24 strategies. And so there is a little barometer on each one, so you can kind of say, you can see how close we are with each goal statement in regards to completing the strategies that we put in place. But yeah, you can view that information on our website.
What kind of things are you guys thinking about with AI?
So that's a question to answer, but I will do my best. So I've started to really explore a couple of things. One, we went through myself, Mickey, Josh, Aaron, started to go through the process of, there's a couple great resources out there of building this checklist of what are all the questions we have to ask ourselves. Like, what do we need to make sure that we have in place in order to start to open this up? And so we've gone through that process and really reflecting on and looking at what do we currently have in place, what is our current policy, our acceptable use policy, what does that have in place that supports this, and started to ask those questions from a safety standpoint. And then on the other side of it, we're really starting to look at how do we roll this out to staff. So we do have plans to start to allow staff the opportunity to use some AI tools in the coming Institute Day, February Institute Day. So we'll give all of our staff an opportunity to learn a little bit more about AI, but then also the opportunity to really kind of start to explore some of the tools, because we feel like allowing our staff to start to understand how they can use it safely, but how they can use it in their classroom to become more efficient, and to some of the resources that are available through AI. And we've started to, as a team, started to play with that, and I won't say this, I guess I'm saying it now because it's public, so, parent letters, I've used AI to draft me an idea for a parent letter, and then I make some tweaks and things like that. And so really looking at how does it reduce some of the burdens that we have for our staff, how do we use some of the tools to make us more efficient in that way, but obviously for our staff to really fully understand some of the opportunities, because I think what we have to be prepared for is our students have to understand, or we have to be in a position where we can support our students to use it in a positive way, and to not be limited by our own lack of understanding or knowledge. And I think we've seen that in some cases where we'll put up some fancy new technology. If we don't really have the creative mindset and understanding how to really maximize the use of it, it leaves it there, and our students don't really get to fully engage in it. So we have to really invest heavily in, and this is my opinion, have to invest heavily in our staff and helping them really start to understand the possibilities and how this can really transform, just like the calculator, just like the World Wide Web. So
look forward to it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, me too.
Jason, I asked Shelley, when we do the stay interviews, is that kind of where we're just trying to get our employees to stay as long as possible? Is that like an exit interview? Is that, how does that kind of?
We generally do it with new employees. So after they've been with you for 60 to 90 days, then you just sit down with them and ask them how it's going, how things have been, how they've been supported, what do they think, you ask their opinion, what can we do to improve, what would you suggest? Because we really do value their opinion. We want them to stay. The research shows that if you do stay interviews, they stay. So, yeah, we want to keep.
And then too, in addition to that, being able to get their opinions on why they stayed, right? And being able to look at that, and if we need to improve on some things, we can learn that, or we got some things that are going great. That's awesome too. So I'm really excited about that. I saw Mr. Smith, his eyes kind of. So yeah, thanks, Shelley.
Yeah.
Real quick before you, I just wanted to thank our academy team, because a lot of what you saw in that presentation like Mr. Bloom said, he's responsible for a lot of that work as well, but the team really does a good job of making sure that those strategies are getting done, and supporting Jason and myself and ensuring that those get done as well. So I'd like to say thank you, Dr. Herb, Dr. Wagner, Mr. Arand, and soon to be Dr. Bloom at some point. Put pressure on me.
I feel like Josh will be saying it before I've ever.
And then real quick too, I take this opportunity to say, for Jason, just for the community to know, like, I get a lot of requests as superintendent to be at different events and things of that nature. So I've structured Mr. Bloom's, soon to be Dr. Bloom's title to help me out. So if you see him in the community at different events and things like that, it's like me being there. So I just want the community to know that, and he does a really good job. Like we split, this past weekend, he was at Christmas for Kids, I was at Shop with a Cop, and so just being able to have someone I can lean on like that, I appreciate that. And so that's all I got.
See, you took the easy one.
Yeah, why not?
He was trying to corral cats all over the place.
I had dogs though.
Okay.
Like
literally police dogs. All right. Moving on to the consent agenda. Can I get a motion and a second to approve the personal agenda with addendums?
Motion.
Second. Mr. Sterling?
Aye.
Mr. Thompson?
Aye.
Mr. McKnight?
Aye.
Ms. Carlson?
Aye.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Hastings? Aye.
All right. Can I get a motion and a second to approve student travel requests?
Motion.
Second.
Mr. Sterling?
Aye.
Mr. Thompson?
Aye.
Mr. McKnight?
Aye.
Ms. Carlson?
Aye.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Hastings? Aye.
Motion and a second to approve facility requests.
Motion.
Second. Mr. Thompson?
Aye.
Mr. McKnight?
Aye.
Ms. Carlson?
Aye.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Hastings? Aye. Mr. Sterling?
Aye. All right. Moving on to action items. I need can I get a motion to approve first reading of policy updates from November 15th, 2023 Policy Committee recommendations, pulling 6.230, 6.23 AP, 6.23 AP-E, and 7.60 for a separate vote. With that being said, what about the other policies? Can I get a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Mr. McKnight?
Aye.
Ms. Carlson?
Aye.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Hastings? Aye. Mr. Sterling?
All right.
Mr. Thompson?
Aye.
All right. Yes. We'll go with the 7.6 first.
In the notes, when I read that, maybe I read it wrong. If that's the case, I apologize.
We're good. That's why we're here.
But in the notes, it said that the policy was going to allow for non-resident staff members, children to attend tuition free. If I didn't read that right, then I'm...
So that is something that could be considered. It is not currently in there now, and I think if that were gonna be a discussion, there would be a lot of, like, looking into that first.
Right, because when I read the policy, it did not have any of that language
Sure,
in there.
right, correct.
But I wanted to bring it up because there's a reason why that language was in the notes.
Sure.
Reviewing the policies.
Sure.
It's an option, but we're just not ready yet. We have to do some more research on how that would work. So, yeah, we didn't move forward.
Sure.
Okay.
You looking for us to do it?
No.
Okay.
Okay. So yeah, if we were gonna do that, we would have to pull all that information and do that in the future. It is not.
Okay,
that way.
I guess I don't understand why it was in the notes as.
Because it's an option.
It was a part of press as an option.
So, there are places where this is something that they are adopting it into the policy.
As a way of kind of like bolstering employment.
It's per the school code, so it's a footnote for the school code, so it gives us that option to be able to do that, but.
Okay, all right, just wanted to make sure, I had my,
You're good.
all right.
All right, with that, and a recommendation to approve 7.60 as put forward.
Motion.
Second.
Ms. Carlson?
Aye.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Hastings? Aye. Mr. Sterling?
Aye.
Mr. Thompson?
Yes.
Mr. McKnight?
Aye.
All right. Now going on to 6.230. Would you care to go any further into that, or to just reiterate what you've already said?
Basically reiterate, I appreciate that the agenda, not the agenda, sorry, the policy, I appreciate that the Education Committee had made some changes and done some different things with the press offering and had added a few things into it. I would like to see I know that one of them is where the parents can pull out books that they don't want their students to read, and they can do that as well, which is fine with that. I would also like to see one that offers possibly parents who would like to see them reading specific books, or something that, you know, pulling out books possibly that are part of their classrooms, possibly pulling them out of classrooms if they don't want them reading specific books, and not just, you know, library books or library materials. I think it'd be helpful to have parents have a little more guidelines in that as well. I'm glad that we are offering it to students to add selections as well. I still think that if we have a committee, I think there should be a committee of at least 3 people. I think 2 people, there should be a majority, and not just 2 people, certainly not just 1 person. And I appreciate that they added at least 1 person. But I think it should be a majority as well, and I think that if students do offer their additions to the library, that it should go through a committee, and not just, hey, I want this in the library, and then it gets put in there. I think that the establishing criteria from the superintendent or designee needs to be a little more than just superintendent or designee. It also should be possibly the same committee that might be putting some of these books into the libraries as well. And so I think that it's a good thing to have a change, that it's not just the press as it's written, but that I think we need to offer some more of that we need to look into a little more of how the structuring of books are brought in, who's bringing them in, how are they put in, how are they possibly rated, are there any guidelines? And so it's kind of reiterating the same thing, but I think it just a little stronger than just somebody picking something and having it stuck in the library. So I know you talked about at the policy committee about having some of the extra things that they put in there, and I think that's helpful, but I think that it just needs a little more tweaking and pulling together some more in-depth information.
Didn't we bring the policy to educate, or the process to education?
Yes.
Okay.
So that'll be next week.
No, we already went over the process in education. So I think it was, what, 2 or 3 months ago? We brought the process, Larry had asked it to be added to the agenda, that we bring the process of how a book gets into a library to education. So we went over that process.
There's no minutes. When I look up, like go to the meeting minutes and stuff, there are no minutes that I can seem to find for unless I'm looking in the wrong place, because I know I'm going to the board and to the minutes, and the only minutes I ever see is the business services meeting minutes. So somehow I'm either not
Are you
getting
going
right
to the
ones.
board book?
If I go,
Minutes are usually posted after they're approved
yes.
in board.
Here's equity and social. Here's education committee from October 24th. I think that's when you were talking. Is that when you?
I think so. I don't remember like Larry, but we brought it forward, or excuse me, I keep saying we. Mr. Smith brought it forward, and asked specifically to go over the process of getting a book in the library. I thought you were there, Ms. Carlson.
I probably was, but who knows, my first meeting, I may have been.
And I can send you minutes if you'd like to make it easier.
Yeah, that would be helpful, because I know either I'm looking in the wrong place, or, because if I pull up a meeting, I'm not seeing minutes. I mean, I'm seeing minutes I'm seeing the meetings on the board book, but I'm not getting the.
You do have to remember that with these committee meetings, they're 1 a month.
Right,
So
right.
it's a long time before they get posted.
Right.
because we have to get them approved before I can post.
I understand.
That's something they can request?
They're posted on,
No, I'm talking about ordinance to request minutes.
they're not official until they're approved, but if, if it makes it easier on someone.
Just saying unofficial.
Yes.
So in the future, you can request unofficial ones that'll be shortly. But
I just think my point is that I don't think the book just goes into the library. From what we saw at education, there's a process. So I just, let's get you those minutes and let's get you that policy, so you can understand how a book gets into the library. But yeah, it definitely has its, its process and its due diligence that it goes through before it goes on the shelf, so.
And of course, this 230 AP and the 230.
Yes.
Are basically just follow that same order.
correct, it's, one is the admin and procedures, and the next one is actually just the form. That's why I just wanted to bring it forward with it.
Yes, you can use 140 item motion to approve first reading of as attached to the agenda.
Correct. Now, with I hearing the concerns, like, we can always bring those concerns and add to policy. We can always.
Right.
You can always make changes to policy.
Right.
Correct.
That's our job.
And that's kind of what I'm thinking, is just to, maybe at the next policy meeting, say, hey, let's look into making some, further ideas as to
January 19th?
guidelines for.
February.
February.
Yeah, February 20th.
January 19th would be good. Wasn't that the next board meeting?
Yeah, that's
Educational.
Education.
That was your next education.
It was in my mind.
So
I got so many meetings submitted,
February will be the next policy committee meeting.
so we can have those robust
Yes.
things. Yes.
Oh.
With that, is there any more discussion on 6.23, 6.23 AP, and 6.23 APE? All right, I would like to take a motion and a second.
Motion.
Second.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Hastings, aye. Mr. Sterling?
Aye.
Mr. Thompson?
Yes.
Mr. McKnight?
Aye.
Ms. Carlson?
No.
All right. I get a motion and a second to approve resolution declaring surplus property.
Motion.
Second.
Ms. Hastings, aye. Mr. Sterling?
Aye.
Mr. Thompson?
Aye.
Mr. McKnight?
Aye.
Ms. Carlson?
Aye.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Can I get a motion and a second to approve acceptance of July and August 2023 treasurer's reports?
Motion.
Second.
Mr. Sterling?
Aye.
Mr. Thompson?
Yes.
Mr. McKnight?
Aye.
Ms. Carlson?
Aye.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Hastings, aye.
Can I get a motion and a second to approve acceptance of FY23 audit by Sikich?
Motion.
Second.
Mr. Sterling?
Aye.
Mr. Thompson?
Aye.
Mr. McKnight?
Aye.
Ms. Carlson?
Aye.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Hastings, aye.
Can I get a motion and a second to approve the award of bid to Larson Equipment and Furniture for the purchase and installation of cafeteria tables at Ralston Elementary for a total cost of $72,923?
Motion.
Second.
Mr. Thompson?
Aye.
Mr. McKnight?
Aye.
Ms. Carlson?
Aye.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Hastings, aye. Mr. Sterling?
Aye. Can I get a motion to approve an agreement with Arc Design to provide the design and working drawings for the 2024 summer pavement replacement project?
Motion.
Second.
Mr. McKnight?
Aye.
Ms. Carlson?
Aye.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Hastings? Aye. Mr. Sterling?
Aye.
Mr. Thompson?
Aye.
I'm sure we have to do it that soon.
Yeah. Can I get a motion in a second to approve the agreement with Permar Security to update the monitoring system at Rock Cut Elementary?
Motion.
Second.
Ms. Carlson?
Aye.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Hastings, aye. Mr. Sterling?
Aye.
Mr. Thompson?
Yes.
Mr. McKnight?
Aye.
Any further announcements and discussion?
We still got
One more, we have the
13H.
ROE for teachers. and-
Gotta get that yoga.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Can I get a motion and a second to approve agreement with Regional Office of Education for Teacher Institute Wellness? Fair professional development at a cost of $6,025, paid with Title II funds.
Motion.
Second.
Mr. Smith?
No.
Ms. Hastings, aye. Mr. Sterling?
Aye.
Mr. Thompson?
Yes.
Mr. McKnight?
Aye.
Ms. Carlson?
Aye.
The announcements and discussion? All right, I make a motion and a second to go into executive session to discuss employment personnel, 5 ILCS 120-2C1.
Motion.
Second.
Mr. Sterling?
Aye.
Mr. Thompson?
Aye.
Mr. McKnight?
Aye.
Ms. Carlson?
Aye.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Hastings, aye.
7 minutes. 7 minutes.
7 minutes.
Oddly long and specific.
Exactly.